Good morning, it's May 6th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. One of the favorite slogans of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is climate change. Under the Biden administration, it was the underpinning of their entire agenda. Coming into office, Joe Biden promised to make war against the fossil fuel industry, and in doing so, he was going to change the world. The so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which had nothing to do with inflation, was all about climate change. The Inflation Reduction Act 22 was the largest investment in climate change mitigation and adaptation in American history. That act appropriated more than $142 billion to carry out activities designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and, according to progressives, protect against the impacts of climate change. In reality, it was money spent on programs that would never come to fruition for the most part. The bill was finally passed when the Biden administration negotiated with Senator Joe Manchin and made major concessions to him, particularly ensuring it would remove all impediments to the Mountain Valley Pipeline that would transport natural gas from West Virginia southward to markets that needed the gas. Only then did Manchin give them his vote that needed to pass the bill, and for that he was drummed out of the party for not going along with this madness. Out in California, they've been leading the way to move the country towards renewable energy despite the cost to the average American. They were banning the sale of internal combustion engines in the future, and this played well with the Biden team as they were trying to mandate electric vehicles as much as possible. And they were cheered on by the progressive and liberals in the media. But there's a new sheriff in town, and Republicans have control of the federal government. Last Thursday, the House voted in strong bipartisan fashion to overturn the EV mandate the Biden administration allowed California to impose on the rest of America. Now, before I go any further, I want to make it clear I'm not against renewable energy sources, and in fact think that someday electric cars will be the norm. But that day's not yet arrived. I built a new home 2 years ago, and I installed 2 electric charging points in the garage. I don't have an electric car, but either myself or a future owner might need those ports. They're inexpensive to put in when you build a house, but very expensive to retrofit to an older garage. Going back to the House of Representatives, the vote was 246 to 164 for a Congressional Review Act resolution to repeal the waiver that the Environmental Protection Agency granted California for its EV mandate. The waiver provision was written to let California address smog, but Sacramento Democrats lobbied the Biden EPA to let it apply to carbon emissions. The mandate is ludicrously impossible to meet. It says zero-emission vehicles would have to account for 43% of an automaker's sales by 2027. That's just 2 years away. And a dozen other states have signed up for its rules. It rises to 68% by 2030. What is especially striking is that 35 Democrats voted for the resolution. That included 3 Democrats from Michigan, 3 from Ohio, and 4 from Texas. Even more surprising was 2 from California voted in favor. And I can understand the Midwest Democrats reading the polls and listening to their constituents, many of whom work in the auto industry, but Luis Carrera and George Whiteside, both from California, might have to face the wrath of Gavin Newsom and the Democratic Party in California. What this vote indicates is there's an introduction, at least of some economic realism in the climate policy debate. The environmental community have consistently ignored any problems in their agenda, and the Democrats have bowed under the pressure even when it was both unpopular and hurt thousands of their constituents. Next up is what I hope will be a Senate vote to repeal the waiver. The CRA says the resolution needs only a simple majority to pass, and Republicans who are skittish to take comfort in the bipartisan House majority will be there to get it. The Democratic roll call will be instructive, especially for those up for re-election in 2026, such as Georgia's John Ossoff and Virginia's Mark Warner. Warner might be able to get away with voting no because the liberals in Northern Virginia, but Ossoff will be hard-pressed to ignore the rural votes of Georgia. EV can make some sense in urban areas where you don't drive much, but what about older neighborhoods where homes don't have a garage? Are the people supposed to run a cord out their house to the charging point? Want to guess how many of those will disappear each night? Then you have rural areas where you drive many miles with nothing in between. EVs are not going to be popular there. California wanted to lead the way and force even semi-trucks to abandon diesel-powered engines. We're just not there technologically yet. Keep innovating, and we might, but mandate something just because it fits your political narrative is ludicrous. And fortunately, more and more in Congress are starting to figure it out. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.